All right, everybody, if you saw part one of this conversation, you know that we were just going to carry on into a part two and make it another video. So here we are, everybody. This is my good friend, Carolyn Baker. Say hi, Carolyn.
Hello, and thank you again for having me.
Well, thank you for sticking around. We made this kind of an extra long one today, which I'm super excited about.
Me too.
You, at the end of the last conversation, you asked me a question, and I said, we'll make that the teaser for part two.
Right.
I'll kind of kick that back to you and sort of see what it was you were asking.
Yeah, you've made a lot of conversations since the election, which I've seen on video, but I'd like to know, heart to heart, how you're doing, because I'm really concerned.
Thank you for asking. We talked in the first part about like lining up your support resources before you have trouble. And so because I did that right this time, my backstory is full of not having been ready.
Yeah.
But right now, this moment has come, and I won't say it's easy. It's certainly way easier for a white guy like me than it is for a lot of other people.
Sure.
But I also love deeply and am connected deeply to a lot of those people. And so because I don't feel personally under threat, but by proxy, I feel, this enormous weight that these people I'm connected to are under. And so it's been tough, but by no means has it been taxing to the point where it hasn't made me suicidal. It hasn't made me feel like my bottom has dropped out.
Wonderful.
And so that's good.
Good.
But,
I'm very glad to hear that.
As you know, you can say, I came to this moment prepared and I'm doing well. Like it can still slap you upside the head tomorrow.
Sure.
Like you don't,
Oh yeah.
You never know. But I take comfort in knowing that I still have that list of people to call and those groups of, you're one of them that I can reach out to. And I have. I called you the other day, weeping, know. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do.
So people don't know what that's about, but I was at a really low point this summer.
Yep.
And it was financially motivated. I, had more bills than I had money. I was going to go beg for money. Mm-hmm. And I called you. And I called you because you've written a book that talks about when you did something. People need to check that out. What's the name of that book?
Journey to the Promised Land, How a Homeless Stranger Took Me Home.
It's a beautiful book. Now you're going to make me cry because I'm remembering the day I called you. Man, I was crying like a baby that day.
You were. Yeah. And I'm so glad you reached out.
So am I.
Yeah.
We all get low.
We sure do.
People look at this guy with the high collar and the pink hat who's trying, I got a real light and I try to make things look good, but I am not interested in hiding the fact that like, I'm also that guy. I was at the bottom months ago.
Right.
And it can happen that fast for people. It does happen that fast. And
exactly.
It had nothing to do with politics, you know.
It didn't. No.
So I'm grateful for the question. The conversation to me is not just about talking to folks like yourself. It's not just about me running my mouth by myself, which I'm doing in quite a few videos. Some people journal with a pen and a pad. Mm-hmm. I voice journal.
That's great.
And literally the difference now is instead of just voice journaling, I'm just turning the camera on and I'm voice journaling like this now.
Right.
And sharing my voice journals with people. That's what I'm doing.
Great.
But the conversation is also, it is me conversing with reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I have actually been shutting out.
Yeah, all of us doing that.
Yeah, all of us doing that and encouraging that and trying to push for that.
Yeah.
So thank you for asking. So I in this part of the conversation, I want to try something that might be kind of weird. I think it could be fun. But people who know me a lot on Facebook know that I am a dealer of memes. I meme a lot. I share memes like crazy.
I do too, actually.
You do too. Yours are usually pointed around important things. I often will meme stupid stuff too. So, which is fine. I'm not beating up on myself, but I have had a tendency since the election happened and since things got pretty sober and heavy, I've just laid off the memeing for a minute. Right. One thing I noticed right away is that Facebook basically is punishing me for that because I did it so much. It was feeding me to lots of people. When I stopped doing it and only posting videos, Facebook's like, I don't want your videos.
Right, right.
So now I have to meme again. So in the spirit of memeing,
okay,
I don't have to, but I'm going to. I want to share some memes that I've come across in the wild.
Okay.
I'll show them to you. We'll put them full screen for folks to see. I'll read them. And, because not everyone who's partaking in this can see. So I'll read them. And then I just want to we'll just say is there something there? I just want to hear your reaction. We can just talk about it. Is that okay?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. So here comes the first one.
Okay.
So this one says, I was no longer needing to be special because I was no longer so caught in my puny separateness that I had to keep proving I was something. I was part of the universe, like a tree is, or like grass is, or like water is. And that says Ram Dass. So how does that hit you? What do you think about that?
I absolutely love that. Of course, I'm a huge Ram Dass fan.
Okay.
But he's telling us this deep wisdom of it's another way of saying what people have said for gazillions of years. We are part of everything. We are part of nature and we are part of each other. And that kind of meme, it's like, read that every day, folks, because that motivates us to not just know that we're connected, but go out and do something about it with each other. So I just love that you love that and that you've posted.
I think in the same way that political factions try to divide us from one another.
Oh, yeah.
There's also this Western mythology that tries to divide us from nature. We talk about nature in the third person as if we aren't it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But to that meme's point and to your point, anytime you're describing nature, you're describing a thing you are.
You betcha.
And that's fascinating. Okay. Was that okay? You want to do another one?
Oh, sure. Let's do it.
So let me put the next one up.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if this is real. It sounds maybe a little hokey, but I'm going to go ahead and read it anyway. This was from, I think, Discourse. I voted for Trump. My wife sent me divorce papers. What do? I didn't even know it was possible to be served divorce papers this quickly. I don't even know what to say. I'm shocked. I married somebody willing to throw away our entire life over politics. Last week we were happy. Today we're getting divorced. She won't have a discussion. She says nothing will change her mind. Insists she's going to report my parents because they live off of disability, but my dad does some cash work, auto repair. So now I'm worried for my whole family. She wants me to buy her out of the house. We have $300K in it, plus we built a 4-bay garage since we bought it 3 years ago. I can't afford that. When I told her this, as she was packing her things, she said, quote, I guess you're finally going to really know how it feels to be effed by a Democrat, end quote. ETA, her name is on the deed, but not the mortgage. I'm not confident that I can reason with her. What do I do? Where do I start? How do I fix this? Is there anybody else experiencing this in the wake of the election results? Now, again, I don't know if that's real.
Right.
But how does that hit you?
Well, part of me, for the darker part of me, it's kind of funny. It's like, do what you got while it's coming to you. But another part of me is going, wake up, dude. It's like, I hope you find your center, your core. It's obviously not going to be with her, so get it together.
I think there's an interesting component here, too, of how a lot of folks right now on the other side of this political thing that happened do feel genuinely powerless.
Yes.
And it kind of points to the possibility that, maybe you're not being imaginative enough right now. Maybe
Right.
you have more power than you think you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not suggesting someone should necessarily break their family apart. Who knows?
Right.
But it's an interesting thing. Okay. Next one. This comes, I think, out of Wikipedia. It says the paradox of tolerance. The paradox of tolerance is a philosophical concept suggesting that if a society extends tolerance to those who are intolerant, it risks enabling the eventual dominance of intolerance, thereby undermining the very principle of tolerance. This paradox was articulated by philosopher Karl Popper in The Open Society and Its Enemies, 1945, where he argued that a truly tolerant society must not tolerate those who promote intolerance. Popper posited that if intolerant ideologies are allowed unchecked expression, they could exploit open society values to erode or destroy tolerance itself through authoritarian or oppressive practices. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that all opinions have a right to be expressed, or people have a right to express whatever opinions they have, and then we debate those, and we critically think about those. We don't just say, "Oh, don't talk," and you can't say that, but rather say that, and let's talk about why that doesn't work, or let's talk about why that's oppressive.
Yeah, I think one interpretation of that meme could be don't tolerate anybody even speaking their intolerance, but you're saying it's important to let that happen.
Well, I think he was, this is around the time of the Third Reich. And, what was important at that time was critically thinking through these things. And that wasn't being done. And some people were saying, you can't even talk about this. And what I say is, talk about it, and then we need to discuss why that's insane, or we need to discuss why that won't work, or that's anti-human or anti-life.
I love this. Like, this idea that we should be afraid of ideas feels so wrong.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that by allowing them to come you have to allow them to come forward in order to deal with them, right?
Exactly.
It's good stuff. This has got some shadow in it. These are I'm interpreting these are immigrants in the water here saying, why do you think that if you let us come into your land, we'll rob you? And the white person standing up on the wall says, because that's what we did when we came to yours.
Yeah.
I love that
one. I love that one. I've seen that before, and I really love it because it's so true. It's so true.
Is that the shadow that we're talking about? Like,
absolutely, it's the shadow, and it's a projection of, if we do this, if we allow these people in, they will do to us what we did to them. It's true. It's absolutely true.
I see it happening in the current moment. I mean, it's the immigrant thing, but it's the trans thing. It's the women's rights thing. We're literally taking away power from you because we take away power from you because we're afraid that if you have power, you'll take it away from us because we first took it away from you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I could not have said it better.
I love memes for that reason because they do have a way of sort of like Campbell's soup condensing big ideas into these little popcorn bites,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, here's one. So it says, it's okay if the path ahead looks uncertain. It's okay to take it one step at a time. What do you think?
Well, I agree with that. We cannot know ahead of time all of the pitfalls that might be in the path, but it's important that we start the journey. We don't need to wait until we have certainty because we probably never will.
That's true. I'm also reminded of that example of traveling across the country at night. It could be a journey of thousands of miles, and you're only ever going to see as far as your headlights can reach, so a couple hundred feet maybe at a time.
Yes. That's
but
a beautiful
you just keep
analogy.
going.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here's one. This one says, don't feel bad for knowing you deserve more. That is the first step to better things. So like right now, a lot of people are feeling super gut punched.
Yeah.
They're feeling personally let down. It's about human rights. They do deserve more.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an important thing in this moment of feeling our rights being denied that we can retool or repurpose as fuel in some way? Like, talk to me about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's absolutely true that rights are being denied, and that is only going to get worse. And that should not stop us from moving forward and fulfilling our purpose. Finding meaning and purpose in life is for me what it's all about. So, I'm sorry if I've said this before, but I keep going back to Viktor Frankl in Auschwitz, and his book, Man's Search for Meaning. And he said, though it's very hard sometimes to get through the what, but it's easier for us when we can have a why. So we keep going and we find and we make meaning and purpose, but we don't wait to know what the meaning and purpose is so that we keep going. We just keep going.
Speaking of keep going, this says, even a little bit of progress is still progress.
That's right.
How important is it to count everything that counts for what it is right now?
Yeah. And sometimes we'll never know if it's progress, but we do it anyway. Our motivation should not be, well, is this progress or not? But we do it because it's the right thing to do. Okay. It's the right thing to do. So we keep going. And maybe later we'll find out why. And maybe later we'll find out that some progress was made, but we may not. Nevertheless, we keep going because it's the right thing to do.
Easy to say. Sometimes it's hard to do. But
that's right. That's right.
If growth is uncomfortable, I must be evolving.
Growth is always uncomfortable. Otherwise, it wouldn't be growth.
Okay.
Just know that when you're going through something that's hurtful and you're hurting about something, growth is happening. And you don't get to, in the moment, decide what that's going to look like or how that turns out. You just keep going. At some point, it will probably make sense. But you stay committed to your growth.
And I think this is also that moment where we can recall this idea of, if you've been connecting, if you do have people,
yes,
like, you're not doing that alone either.
No.
Even in the meme, this bear is here by herself.
Yeah.
But we don't have to be alone.
No.
In the
and
woods.
That's one of the things I really want to emphasize today. I do a lot of coaching with folks, and a lot of folks who are actually in the situation that we're all in right now, of feeling despair and feeling a sense of loss of meaning and purpose. They discover in the coaching process that they can get through these things because they're not alone. And that makes all the difference. That makes all the difference.
And I can attest, I haven't had you as a coach, but I can attest to your ethical standards here, because what folks don't know is, in the beginning, I reached out to you. I wanted to co-create with you, and I wanted you to help me, like as a coach or, therapist or whatever. And you were like, basically like, it's going to have to be one or the other. It can't be both. Mm-hmm. Why did you say that? I will never forget that. And clearly here we are creating. So I chose the co-create together. But why did you say that to me?
Because coaching is a very intimate relationship, and it begins to touch into very personal things that have to do with your background, your family, the systems that you have been in or are in. And there needs to be a boundary between that and creating and other endeavors. So I needed to set that limit, and I'm glad I did. because it wouldn't work otherwise. And your relationship and my relationship is very important to me. I
Yeah.
value this. This is a treasure in my life. And I don't want to do anything to mess with that.
I
So,
love this. I love this. I think that's so important. And when you talk about being available for people to reach out to for coaching, I can't say what kind of a coach you are. I can say what kind of an author you are, and I can say what kind of a friend you are, and I can say what kind of a co-creator you've been. And all I know is to say, if somebody out there wanted to tap into a part of Carolyn that I can't tap into because we've made other choices, if she is even a fraction as good at that thing as she is at all these other things, like you would, if you can pull it off, even if, I mean, do people have to commit to like a long-term commitment with you, or can it be one session at a time?
yeah,
Like, how's that work?
well, it works like we play it by ear. And if you
Mm-hmm.
want to commit to a certain piece of work, we can certainly do that. But you don't have to do that up front, because we need to get to know each other. We need to explore a little bit about our process together. So,
So if you all want Carolyn in a way that I can't know Carolyn, right? Here it is.
yeah,
I
that's
like
true.
how you said it depends on the work. So this isn't like just some open-ended kumbaya thing that you do with people. It's targeted, it sounds like.
Yeah. The work is a really important phrase, the work, your
Yeah.
work. And yes, we do it together, but I don't decide what your work is. You decide that.
Okay. It's good. Okay. Back to the memes. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
This one's just cute. It's a frog, and the frog says, "My grief is tremendous, but my
But
love is bigger."
yeah. Well, grief and love travel together and need each other.
Mm,
Um, the reason we grieve is because we've loved.
mm.
And the more we grieve, the more love we experience and the more love we give. So we should not think that grief and love are opposed to each other. They are absolutely intimate connections with each other.
If you think you love freedom, but you don't care if it applies to everyone, what
Mm,
you actually love is privilege.
I agree. I agree.
See a lot of people making that mistake right now.
Absolutely.
Here's kind of a funny one. It's just a tweet. I need to get my life together, but I'm kind of waiting to see if the world is going to end before I put any real effort in. Can you resonate with that?
Um, I can't, but some people can. There have been times in my life when I felt that way, but
Yeah. Yeah. I just think that's cute.
I do.
I
I do.
feel like I've been there too.
Yep. Yep.
This is like an older person sitting around the fire with younger people. Their clothes are kind of tattered, and it's sort of post-apocalyptic. And he says, yes, the planet got destroyed, but for a beautiful moment in time, we created a lot of value for the shareholders.
Yep. I've seen that one before. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that pointing to? It feels like a short-sightedness of what we're chasing. Like we don't really know what's good for us, do we?
No, we don't. We don't. And we as Americans, particularly, are just not used to thinking long term.
Mm.
I think this modern era that we live in goes against that. Everything is so instant. Everything is right now. Everything is just do it and get it. And so that's why we are where we are, because we have not contemplated the long-term consequences. And, the corporations who are responsible for helping to destroy the planet, they have known for decades the consequences of their drilling and their rape and pillaging of the planet. They've known that. And yet they've done it anyway. So yeah, we're not good at thinking long term. I might add, indigenous people are good at that. Indigenous people are very good at thinking long term because, they tend to think 7 generations out. How is this going to affect them?
I was literally about to say I was talking with a friend just a couple days ago. Another white guy. His name's Chris. Lives up in Michigan. We've done some spiritual work together, and he told me that he heard about native traditions of the seventh generation, and he encapsulated it. Correct me if I'm misunderstanding this, but because I'm definitely not Native American. But the wisdom here is that anything you're doing today, you need to think, how will this impact not my kids but 7 generations from now? Is that the idea?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Man, can you imagine how much different just everything would be if people were really thinking big picture like that?
No.
What do you think would be some things that would just look very different if literally everybody thought that way? What would be some things that would happen or not happen?
Well, first of all, the environment, would be completely different than it is now, and we wouldn't be facing climate catastrophe, and we wouldn't be having, all of these supposedly natural disasters, and we would be able to, I think, be better stewards of our children's future. We wouldn't be worrying about when we send them to school, are they going to come home? And we would just, it would influence everything if we were planning, even for 2 generations. It would just profoundly change our lives and our awareness.
Okay, here's one, again, just text. It says, to all my fellow Americans who were hoping for a different outcome, I promise you, if you turn off the news and just focus on enjoying your life, the only changes you'll see are cheaper gas, cheaper groceries, cost of living going down, less crime, healthier ingredients in our foods, no wars, and less pharmaceutical commercials. I promise you, once you detox from the 24-hour lying news cycle, your life will change. I have a lot of Christian friends who are posting that.
Don't agree with it.
Okay, why not?
Well, I think our lives are going to change in very negative ways that are way beyond gas prices and inflation and such. Because I think we have, with this election, given up an enormous amount of freedom. And that is yet to be manifested, but we'll see it in the next 4 years. And it's sort of like saying, if I put my head in the sand, things are going to get better. And I don't believe that.
I think the other thing about this meme that really pisses me off is that it absolutely solidifies you're not thinking about anybody else. If you voted, and these were your objectives, cheaper gas, cheaper groceries, cost of living going down, less crime. I mean, I want all of these things. Who doesn't want that stuff, right? But it's like, if you're saying, hey, everybody, just calm down. It's going to be a lot easier on your pocketbook and you're going to like that. I'm going like, do you know what? Like the immigrants that I'm connected to who are scared out of their minds right now. I mean, everybody wants the prices to be cheaper, but are you saying that my life is something you're exchanging for cheaper eggs? Or the LGBTQ plus community or women's rights. I mean, I'm surrounded by women in my family who I love, and a lot of, I want to protect everybody's identity, but I know a lot of people who are right now, they're going like, go get your health care, go get your birth control. People are buying up resources, which again can look like panic to people who are pushing this kind of thing. Whether or not you agree on whether things are going to be cheaper or not, it's just so telling that somebody would even think to post that because it is clearly blind to the suffering of the people around you, or it is just dismissive. It's just go F yourself.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. Yep.
For milk, for gas, like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, this goes back to what I said in the very beginning of our first session, which is Americans don't care about democracy, nor do they want to understand what it is. And if you understood what democracy is, you wouldn't say that.
Okay. From Thomas Merton.
Yes.
It is easier to serve the hate gods because they thrive on the worship of collective fanaticism. To serve the hate gods, One has only to be blinded by collective passion. To serve the God of love, one must be free. One must face the terrible responsibility of the decision to love in spite of all unworthiness, whether in oneself or in one's neighbor. That feels like a direct affront to the one we just went through.
It is. It is. My commitment is to love. And that just sounds ridiculous to some people right now, even to me at times right now. How do I keep my heart open in hell? How do I continue to love, even if I don't feel all lovey-dovey? How do I show up for my neighbor, for the people that I'm close to, and the people I don't even know? How do I manifest and walk in love? It's hard. It's really hard.
Okay, I got two more.
Okay.
This one's another just text. I don't know, man. Maybe some dudes from the 1700s who owned people and would be mystified by the sight of a dishwasher weren't right about everything in perpetuity. Like, maybe we should update our thinking. What do you think? I mean,
Yeah.
it's so mind-boggling to me that the values that are being fought for right now are so puritanical,
Yeah.
they've always been violent.
Mm-hmm.
They have always come at the end of a sword.
Yep.
And it's like, not only are we electing people through a Christian nationalist movement, we should be challenging some of these ideas. Politics be damned. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just mind-boggling to me that so many people right now are finding their true spirituality in what I refer to, and this I call the Bible this. It could really be any religious text from ancient times, the goat herder's guide to the galaxy. Like times have changed, minds have expanded, things have changed, and it's just like we're still just so horny for it to be that old way. Like,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. It's inherently selfish. It's a really narcissistic point of view.
All right, last one. In the coming weeks, people who don't believe in your rights will expect you to be the bigger person or to forego your power to bend to their will. Don't you dare. Don't you dare forget who you are. And don't you dare stop fighting back for justice. Now is not the time to be gracious or people-pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the time to remind people the whole world isn't Utah or Arkansas, and we don't subscribe to an ideology of submission to those who harm us. Now is the time to get reconnected to your inner power, intuition, fulfillment, joy, right to stand up for yourself, your communities, and your purpose. Resistance takes many forms, and honoring yourself is one of them.
Who wrote that?
It's credited to @selfcarewarrior.
Okay. Yeah, who knows?
So I don't know the human behind those
But it's
words.
beautiful. I absolutely love it. Yes. Yes. Self-care. Let me just put in a plug for that. You know, right now, yes, we need connection desperately, and we've talked extensively about how to make that happen, but we need to love ourselves. And I don't mean in a narcissistic, like, I'm just going to love myself and screw whatever else happens. We've got plenty of that. But how do I protect my heart? How do I improve my health? How do I, just all around make myself healthier and stronger? And how do I expand my gratitude and my joy every single day, no matter what happens? And how do I keep my heart as open as possible in hell?
In hell, you keep saying in hell. You're talking about this place we find ourselves now.
Yes, I am. I do not believe in a literal hell. You and I have been there, done that.
We've been there, done that. Oh man, there's this one meme I saw. If I find it, I'll put it up here. but it's a map of the United States, and it shows the states that voted red, and it shows the ones that voted blue, and there's just a tremendous amount of red on that map.
Right.
When you look at a map like that, which shows just so much red, and it shows very little blue, I think it's important to recognize what you're looking at and what you're not looking at. What you're looking at is a very dualistic binary representation of which states ultimately won the day
Right.
in terms of the vote. What you're not looking at is in all of those red states, close to 50% of the people, in some, not everyone, but in certain states, it's not just like all red. And in the blue states, equally true, it's not all blue. This thing was close. And when you look at a map like that, you can fall off the cliff into despair and say, like, most of the country is red. Nobody in the country is blue. I am completely isolated. I am completely alone. I mean, I imagine people looking at that map who live in the middle of the red, feeling like they're absolutely surrounded by nothing but people who hate them. And I just know that's not true. What say you?
Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree. And the fact that you, who live in such a red state, are telling me that Sunday afternoon you went over to these people's house and you all talked and you all processed. I mean, how beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? Perhaps even more beautiful, dare I say, than me, who lives in an extremely blue state, an extremely blue town, going and having my conversation with my tribe, because I take that for granted. But you, in your state, being able to do that is a beautiful privilege. And when I say privilege, I don't mean like, well, I deserve this. It's a gift. It's really a gift.
And it takes work to have, and it takes work to maintain.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to take a moment to tell the folks who are listening, like, when you see that, your brain is going to say, I'm surrounded. Your brain is going to say, I'm screwed. That's what the amygdala does.
Exactly.
If you feel like red means danger and you just see it everywhere, your brain's going to go danger, danger, danger.
Yeah.
But in reality, and this is what the conversation is all about, it's about making contact with reality. In reality, this was pretty close. And if we can get better at connecting at the community level, like the Christians have been doing around their disastrously violent mythology in many cases,
Right.
especially the nationalists, if we can get better at connecting despite the fact that we don't have a church building, and use that to our advantage, as I've said, you don't have a mortgage for a building to pay. All that tithes and offerings that you were sending to pay for the pastor to do their thing and have a building and all this formality, you can use those same resources
Right.
to do things out of a house meeting. You can do so many things. And all you've got to do to find the blue, if you're surrounded by what seems like the red, is turn off your damn TV, turn off all of the media, even the free thinkers. A lot of them are not free thinkers. Yeah. They are also being paid through an advertising model. And when things don't click and make them money, they stop saying those things and they say the things that make them money, which means they are being driven by their audience into a fine point of not truth. It's all manipulated. Yeah. Because of that money aspect. Get away from it, go into the home, get online with a friend. Do this if you've never done it before and you're going to say, like, I don't know how to do it. I'm going to feel clumsy. What do you say to people who are like, I hear you, but it doesn't exactly sound easy? Maybe they're introverted, or like, how do people find, if they're in these red places, how do they find the blue in your experience?
Yeah. How do you find your tribe?
Yeah.
Well, certainly you can look online for groups and people that resonate with you, and then just talk to people in your community. Just talk to people, and take that risk of putting out there what you need, and see what comes back. Because when we're willing to take those risks, it's kind of like the universe begins to conspire with us on our behalf.
I have definitely seen that.
Yeah.
Carolyn, I am so grateful for your time, for this huge block of time that we've turned into 2 parts.
Yeah.
Before we go, I want to give you a chance again to just tell people how they can lean on you for support and how they can contact you. And the floor is yours. Tell them.
Okay. My website is carolynbaker.net. That's Carolyn with a Y. And if you want to connect with me, email me at carolyn@carolynbaker.net.
And you are offering services right now. You've taken kind of a hiatus from some of the writing that you've done because you're opening yourself up to help people, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I've written a lot of books on the current situation and, what we call the polycrisis, which is a coming together of so many crises that, it makes it almost impossible to solve any one of them. So I've written a lot of books on that. I'm not writing books anymore. I don't feel like I have any more to say about that. But I am offering life coaching, what I call post-doom coaching. And you can contact me at carolyn@carolynbaker.net if you want to learn more.
And I would highly, highly recommend that folks who hear this, and even if you're not 100% sure, can they just reach out and sort of feel it out a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's explore together.
All right. Carolyn, I'm so glad I picked co-create and be a friend with you because this has been amazing.
Has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, guys, if you want to keep following along, please hit subscribe, like, comment. Really, this is going to thrive because folks are sharing it. Folks are engaging with it. And so I would really appreciate any help you can give to pushing the message as well. Thanks again, Carolyn, and thanks to every one of you for following along. More to come. Stay tuned to the conversation.